So let's have a big round of applause for our first speaker of the evening, Jadyn. She's the Visual Design Practice Lead at Best Buy Canada.
How's everybody doing? Well, first of all, I want to thank Preet for reaching out and inviting me to be a part of tonight's event. Thank you so much to Digitalist for hosting us, and thank you all for coming out. I can't believe so many people are interested to know what this dork has to say. So, cross-functional design collaboration at Best Buy. So, I'll start with a really, really quick disclaimer. Parts of the organization at Best Buy are 100% agile. So I'll be using a lot of the agile terminology because I get carried away with the lingo. So if anybody is not familiar with any of the terms that I'm using, feel free to shout out, raise your hand. I'm happy to clarify. So I'll start off by, I'm the visual design practice lead for the experience design community. So the experience design community is a community that includes many different disciplines. We include UX, content strategy, design, and copywriting. And we support many different parts of the organization. For today's purposes, I'm going to focus on experience design within BestBuy.ca and how designers support that part of the business. So for BestBuy.ca and how we keep the wheels turning and keep the site going is we've got product streams and we've got retail streams. We've got IT as well, but I won't talk to that today. So on the product streams are the ones that are building the core functionality of BestBuy.ca. So we've got accounts, we've got checkout, we've got assistance, mobile apps. So we've got very specialized streams or teams that solve a very specific problem for the business. On the retail side, these are the streams or teams that are specialized in driving the business from a category perspective. So, for example, you might know Best Buy in its majority for electronics, but beyond that, online, we've got a much larger assortment. We've got a marketplace, we sell baby products, we sell watches and purses, and a lot of people don't know this. And even with our marketplace, you could even go on there and buy organic toothpaste if you wanted to. Something that not a lot of people think you can do at Best Buy, but you can online, because we don't have organic toothpaste in store. So the retail streams are driving everything from a category-specific perspective. So they're driving the experiences. How do I design the best experience for for appliances? The way that you shop for appliances is very different than how you would shop for a TV or for a video game, etc. And also, they're the ones that are driving, working really, really closely with marketing and driving all of our big sales. So Boxing Day, Black Friday, we just passed it, Sale of Palooza. These are the teams that are working really, really closely with marketing to make sure that we're driving a cohesive experience and a cohesive message from a sale perspective. So we're going to start off with all of our designers. So we've got designers across product, and we've got designers across retail streams. So, and each of these are embedded in each of their streams. Now the members of each of the streams vary depending on, again, the type of problem that we're solving for the business. So a lot of these streams will have UX and copywriters, we'll have product owners, we'll have scrum masters. On the retail side, we'll have business leads, and so on and so forth. So you can already tell there's a lot of opportunity with more than, I think, I've lost count now, but I think we've got over 20, close to 20 to 22 streams. So you can immediately tell that all of these designers are making decisions within each of their streams that are specific to their part of the business, but then how am I making sure that as a designer I'm building a cohesive, holistic experience? So Best Buy's philosophy is really, we need to, in order to solve for the cross-collaboration and some of those communication silos, we need to build the muscle horizontally. So we're focusing on each of the individual domains. And we do that by we've got communities of practice is what we call it. So each of the different domains has its own community. We've got communities of designers, of UX, of content strategy, and so on. So the communities of practice have different types, different purposes. So for instance, we've got one community of practice where designers or each of the different domains will focus on creating a holistic customer experience. Now this community of practice, it's on the work that we're creating. How are we're setting these standards, we're having design reviews, we're making sure that every decision that we're making is making the product better and therefore providing our customer the best experience that we can. And the second type of community of practice is improving our craft as designers. So it's a very, very specific community where we want to make sure that, I'm sure that all of you, you go in, if you've got a 9 to 5, you go in at 9, you're focused on getting the work done, and at the end of the day, you didn't have time to like look at inspiration, you didn't have time to read that really inspiring research document, and things like that, right? We get into the nitty-gritty of solving all these everyday problems within our work, but we never really take the time to, hey, like Adobe just launched Adobe CC 2019. Did we take the time to go and look at the new features that are going to make our life easier? This is where we do that. So we've got, right now, for instance, I'll give you an example within our community, the community of designers. We have 2 meetings a week, and one of them is focused on creating the holistic experience, and the second one is focused on the improving our craft. So what happens is, with those times that we all get together, we're all gaining, all of the designers are gaining an alignment on what are the new standards, what are the new tools, and everything that I can use to go back to my stream and make the right decision, so that we all are completely aligned. So they come back, they pull it into the stream, and then this is interchangeable with any of our domains, right? So UX is doing the same, content strategy is doing the same, developers are doing the same, every single domain within e-commerce is doing the exact same thing and building those standards. And the nice thing about this is that it's completely scalable. So if we build it horizontally, we've had it where one stream, one week is 1 and the next week is 3, and it's completely scalable. We're all sharing the exact same information. It doesn't matter if the problem that I'm solving is different than the one that I was solving last week. I have the same fundamentals, I have the same understanding of what our standards are, and it scales up and down really great. We've seen a lot of really, really great success from it. So you might be thinking, how on earth is this even sustainable? With everybody kind of focusing on solving their specific problems, how do I make sure that people are actually engaged and coming and making the right decisions and gaining that alignment? Well, that's where myself and my fellow practice leads come in. So we are embedded within the community, but we are accountable for its continuous improvement. So my core responsibility is to make sure that all of the designers in my community are getting better week by week. By setting the standards, by holding them accountable. Let's say that we make a decision for the button to be purple. I'm just gonna really, we're not gonna make the button purple, but this guy's very blue, as you all know. But let's say that we decide that one element, we've made a new standard, the button's purple. Everybody goes back, takes it away. If somebody then the next week makes it orange, we have a very serious conversation and saying, why did you make that orange when the community made the decision to make this button purple? So that's, right now, I am the person that is having some of those awkward conversations with people and calling people out, but it's in a very constructive way and saying, hey, what happened? Let's have a conversation about this. So you made a decision to veer away from the standard. Why was that? Help me understand, or help the community understand. Well, actually, that wasn't working for me in the part of the business that I'm solving the problem for, so I changed it. Okay, now we've got a different problem to solve then. So you broke the standard, which is awesome, because that's what we're constantly looking for. Bring it back to the community, let's reevaluate, and then if we all need to change it to orange, we change it to orange, or we find where there's specific differences where we can be different. But we make that decision as a community. So just to sum things up, the way that we solve for these cross-collaboration, the cross-functional communication, and for these silos is we have people in place that push our people to continuously improve every single day and every week. We break down the silos by building that holistic experience and creating the space for designers to be able to come together and focus on getting the work done so that they can make the right decisions within their streams. And we inspire people through thoughtful leadership. Thank you very much. Yes?
how do you balance the autonomy of the stream designer, say we're just talking design, the desire of the community to have a holistic view, and your role as the lead? How do you balance that sort of tension between giving enough autonomy to that one individual product and then sort of like community design?
Right. So the way that we tackle that is we have a decision-making framework in place. So for instance, if somebody sees that you can't get 20 designers and sit together and make a decision about a button. Somebody needs to be accountable for that decision, right? So we've put together a framework that allows the person to make the decision. So I've identified a problem. Therefore, I'm going to take this away and I'm going to offer to solve it for the community. So I'm going to take this away and I'm going to design the best button that we can all use. And then that person brings it back to the community and says, I've worked on this, I've tested it, I think this works really well, these are the reasons why, here's my design rationale. I brought in it hits all of our KPIs, it drives what we need for the business, this is how we're going to measure its success. Are we aligned? And the community has the opportunity then to poke holes into it, or like to take it away, to test it out, bring it back, and then that's how we are allowing people to have the autonomy to make those decisions. So it's not like designed by committee at all. We allow them to take it away, solve it, bring it back, and then as a community, we either decide to move forward with it if there's no objections, or if somebody has an objection, then we iterate.
The framework that you mentioned for them to be able to solve that, how was that developed? That's a really great question. I don't know how it was developed. I just know that it was essentially an education piece. So our community of Scrum Masters, they're really driving and trying to find a way to empower people more and more and more. So they've put together this framework for us where we all had training on it. Everybody, like there's about 200 to 300 people in e-commerce. Everybody went through the training, and we were handed out materials that we can use as reference. And then that's the framework that we're using. It makes it really easy for the teams to be able, like, I went to this workshop, I understand now how I can make a decision, and I'm gonna go away, and people are very local about, people are very clear about the intention. So I've identified this problem, I'm going to be using framework X, and I will come back to everybody with a proposal in 2 weeks. So that's kind of how we've done it. So the training is not specifically to solve design problems, it's just any kind of problem?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
It was very clear to me how you described how the different disciplines kind of collaborate on a particular issue or bring one up. But you also mentioned this horizontal cut, and it wasn't really clear to me. Are there specific groups or pools where people from different disciplines collaborating, or is that actually what you meant and I just missed that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we go back to, we had here the horizontal one. So for instance, actually I'll move over to this one. So I'll give you an example to help illustrate. So to create a holistic customer experience, we've got a COP, for instance, that is focused on solving retail problems. So actually, in this case, we've got designers, we've got UX, we've got content strategists. So the community of experience design and the 4 domains within it come together and solve the problem here. And then when it comes to a design-specific decision, then we start making some of those conversations there. Yeah, that's where we start getting that alignment. So we allow for the different domains to have input, just as long as we're within the same community.
So you said you have meetings for the creating a holistic customer experience and meetings each week for improving your craft.
Yes.
So how much time do you devote to each meeting in preparation and meeting time?
That's a great question. In terms of preparation, we try to keep it quite organic, and we normally, the work that we bring to COP, the communities of practice, tends to be work that we're already doing within the streams. So it's actually nothing extra that I'm doing off the side of my desk. I'm already actually solving this problem, and I'm really stuck. I need to bring it back to my community and see if they've got any insights to help me. Like sometimes people are completely stuck. They're like, I've been looking at this for 3 weeks. I have no clue how to solve it.
bring it into COP, and in 20 minutes they've got, we've got a workshop and we help that person out, and then now they've got a different way of solving it. Yes.
And then for
Oh,
the
sorry.
other one, for the improving their craft, how much time do you dedicate?
For that one, it's the same, so each of them right now, they're about an hour each. Each community is very different. Some communities have one for 2 hours, other communities have half-hour COP, so it depends on the intention. For the designers, we've got 1 hour and 1 hour. That does require a little bit of prep work, but it's very minimal. Normally we rotate it and we have volunteers, so the communities are very self-organized, and we, or myself, I really encourage them that they don't rely on me to do all of the work for them or to do the teach outs for them. They already all have the tools. Like somebody downloaded, they have like the latest update of Adobe Creative Cloud, for instance. Somebody played around with Photoshop and figured out all the new functionality, and they're like, hey, I just learned all of this new functionality. I'll do a teach out at the next one. Yeah.
In that example, it's less clear because the craft aspect is pretty subjective, but the holistic customer experience might be measurable. Do you have communities that have a defined measurement that they're trying to improve, or is it all kind of more subjective and conversational?
Yes, so we do have everything that we do, we try to make measurable. So with the communities of practice, we also, we plan ahead. We start trying to figure out, okay, Q1, what are we going to focus on as a community? What is going to drive the best value to the business? For instance, if we're focusing on this one, is we need to figure out our badging strategy, or we need to figure out X, Y, or Z customer flow. So it's domain specific and we need to do it, but it's still captured in the work that is being done within their streams.
Could the result of that conversation push back into the priorities of the product stream?
Yes. A lot of the times it does. So it's all a matter of gauging the value that it brings to the customer. Like we have a giant backlog and we know exactly everything that we need to pull in, but when we pull in a specific epic where this is related, then great, this is a great opportunity for us, like that thing that we said that we were going to solve as a community, we can pull it into this epic, and then we can divide and conquer. Yes?
When the community leads get together and they decide on a new pattern or process or change in some way, how does it then get communicated out to the rest of the design community within West Bay?
So it's actually the community that's making the decisions. The leads are only there paving the road so that they can do their best work. So I don't set the standards for the designers. I make sure that I help them along the journey, but essentially is I'm encouraging them for them to do the work. So there's never really a looping back, because they're the ones that are making all these decisions and prioritizing as well. A lot of the times we do a lot of exercises where we've got all these problems to fix. What does the community want to focus on? I'll do a proposal on what we should focus on in the next one, and then so on. That's how we let the community kind of self-organized. All I do is hold them accountable and say, like, you said that next week you'd have this solved and you didn't, or like this week you'd have it solved and you didn't. Yes.
What happens when a new designer joins the team? Like, I think following up your question, you're asking, like, how do you document these decisions, and how do you know when you're solving some problem, what patterns you use to solve it? So do you have a mechanism for actually documenting all those decisions that have been made so that the designer that joins knows those guidelines?
Yes, so we do it in two different ways. We do have documentation where we capture all the standards that the community is making and we teach them out. And the other way is we have essentially a list of all the things that we need to onboard a new person on, depending on, so we phase it out and we say, okay, we know that it's going to be information overload, and I've been there 1.5 years and I'm still learning so much. So imagine like a new designer, right? Information overload. I like to joke that on my first day I went and bought like a giant bucket of fried chicken because there was so much information that I processed in my first day that I just had to go eat the chicken and fall asleep. So we do it with the onboarding process as well. We phase it out so that it's not so overwhelming for the designer to get all the information in one go and say, okay, this week we're going to focus on these standards. next week we'll focus on these, and then they've got onboarding buddies as well. We've got a buddy system, so that buddy is now onboarding them on very specific things within the stream. And slowly we start to onboard them until the point to where they get to the same level as the rest of the community. Yes?
How do you make sure that the communities are making consistent decisions? Is there like a set of overarching principles that they follow?
Yes. We all have our 6 guiding principles of experience design. We've got guiding principles for e-com. We've got our best buy values. So there's a lot of tools that the team can use to do that. And as well, we do a lot of teach outs, or we have a lot of really great conversations about what does that value look like when I apply it in my day-to-day work, right? So when we're doing peer reviews, we will ask, like, are you following this guiding principle, or what guiding principle is that better representing? So we'll kind of quiz each other and keep ourselves honest in terms of how we're applying the guiding principles. Yes.
What are the 6 guiding principles for experience?
Was
that the secret sauce?
I immediately looked at myself as my director.
You have to join the team, my friend.
I have one question.
Yes.
And thank you so much for an amazing talk and sharing your learnings. You spoke quite a bit about, or mentioned in between a few times about designers keeping in mind the business KPIs and also collaborating with the business team, which I don't know, I don't hear often, or people don't generally hear often, especially in larger enterprises and teams. So are there certain rituals where you've seen, like how do you even make the designers understand and be aware of the business impact of the designs on a regular ongoing basis, apart from the the basic underlying analytics and all that stuff? Like, are there rituals for those teams to collaborate?
Yes, we do it in multiple different ways. On the retail side, we've got business leads, business specialists, business coordinators embedded into the streams. So every sprint that they're planning for the work ahead, they're the ones, like the business leads are setting the expectations on these are our KPIs. This is what we have to. This is what good looks like. This is how we know that we succeeded. So the designers have those people. They're always paired. They all sit together, and they always know that they need to keep the KPIs in mind. That's part of their definition of when something is done, right? The other way we have analytics jam sessions where the analytics team, for an hour a week, they have an open house, and you can come in with all of your questions. So if you're trying to get specific data and you don't know how to do it yourself, because a lot of the time it's not our forte as designers, right? We're visual communicators, and I need to keep the data in mind, but a lot of the times I don't know how to get to it. So pairing up and partnering up more than anything with analytics and with SEO, that helps out a lot as well. And at the end of the day, we do retros at the end of each sprint. So then we're able to identify, did we hit the KPIs? And if we did not, why? And what are we going to do next time better so that we make sure that we do and iterate and improve?
Small follow-up. So do you see examples or times where the business folks become a little prescriptive in their solutions? Of course, like, we, I think it's like a dichotomy. So we designers, we do say, like, everyone in the room is a designer. But then sometimes you're like, don't tell me what to, like explain the problem and not just arrive at the solution. So firstly, like, do you face a lot of those things? And when that happens, like, how do you, I don't know, handle it? Not even like mitigate it? But.
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. That has been a really awesome challenge to work with the designers to find their voice. So what I think works really best about the framework that we've got in place right now is that we focus on the development from a domain-specific perspective. So we respect the fact that X is my domain and Y is not. So I am not a business lead, therefore I need to respect the decision of my business lead when it comes to that. Therefore, it's the other way around as well. And you will hear a lot of business leads, like, in the last year that I've been there, I've noticed the difference in the language on when somebody from a business perspective would come and say, you need to make this banner like this and put the button here and change this image. Whereas now, their business peers would come and say, hey, I don't know how to solve this. All I know is that we need this information to be here. It's not my domain. I'm just saying, can you help me figure this out? Because we don't know what the right visual communication for this is. So the designer now takes it away. Sometimes people can kind of revert to that, and it's easy for people to say like, no, I don't like it. Change it because it's not my thing. And that's where we're like, we really, really, really push people on design rationale and data and like why. What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And if it's within my domain to solve it, let me go away and solve it. And don't solve it for me. Yeah. And it still happens, but everybody's getting better and better. Like everybody learns to respect each other's domain. Yes.
Have you made any deliberate efforts in building that type of design? We're thinking about it as like we're trying to establish a design culture,
Yes.
and meaning that it's sort of it's part of everyone's consciousness and understanding. Have you made any particular deliberate efforts to do that at Best Buy, where informative or otherwise?
Yes, I for the entire time that I've been at Best Buy, that has been one of my core responsibilities. And I really enjoy that part of it, like to help people understand the value of design, of experience design, not just design, because we've got multiple domains. So it's understand the importance of visual communication, understand the importance of UX, and within e-com and outside of e-com as well. So the way that we've done that is with the designers, we do a lot of work at this level and pushing each other for rationale. Like, how do you provide the right rationale? And people, a lot of the times, some of the junior designers, they don't know. Like, they know that they're making the right decisions, they just don't know why, because they're not paying attention to it when they're actually solving the problem. So we challenge them to like push, I really, really push the designers and say like, think about the decisions that you've made and why you've made them. You've got the answer, you've got the rationale in here, you just don't know how to articulate it yet. So coaching them through that and mentoring them, there's a lot of mentorship that happens with it, which has really helped them move forward. And in the last year, we do a lot of health checks at COP to see how are we doing? How are we progressing? And that's one of the things that the designers, they're like, I don't think I was talking like a designer before, and now I am. And now when it comes to other, let's say, external teams or some of our peers in other departments, for instance with marketing, building strong partnerships so that they understand what we do and how we can provide value to them. So being of service to other people outside of e-commerce is really important to us. Because it's really, really great collaborative space, and all I want to do is make sure that I am doing everything that I can to educate others on the value that we bring. What can I do to help you? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? Where are your challenges, and is there anything that I can do to help you achieve that?
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.